Everybody's talking about that leak from the Supreme Court indicating where they lean when it comes to Roe v. Wade. And joining us now is Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who has a very strong set of opinions about this one. And Governor, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. You know, this discussion got a jump start because of that leak. You've been talking about it for some time, specifically about that 1931 trigger law in the books here in Michigan. This is a big concern for a lot of people here.
What happens if Roe falls is that Michigan reverts to a 1931 law that would literally make us one of the most extreme laws in the country. If you look at the national map, we go from a pro-choice state to one of the most extreme in the whole nation. It would be a felony to provide or receive an abortion. No exceptions for incest or for rape. This is a terrifying moment for so many of us who have these rights to make our own decisions. And that's why I thought it was important to lead and use these unique powers in my office to take this issue right to our state Supreme Court.
Well, Governor, how quickly do you think the Supreme Court will act, and are you hopeful?
I think anyone who thought that perhaps it was too early to bring this lawsuit now knows that we are absolutely right to pursue this, and it's important that we are leading. Not every governor has these tools, but also not every governor will see their state overnight become one of the most extreme states in the nation.
Yeah, Governor, we're talking to many prosecutors across the metro area. Some say they would prosecute, others saying they would exercise discretion when it comes to whether or not they would or wouldn't. The Attorney General saying she wouldn't prosecute. What do you make of that?
Well, I appreciate that we've got some phenomenal leaders in law enforcement who live by the standards and the oath that they took and live their values. But at the end of the day, we've got to have a law in Michigan that protects all women. And that's why it is important for the Supreme Court to act and to recognize that under our Constitution, these are fundamental rights that are unique and that are can only be exercised by the individual woman, not a judge, not a politician.
But Governor, this whole issue of discretion, one prosecutor leaning one way, the other another, and just using their discretion, isn't that a slippery slope when it comes to other laws too?
Well, prosecutors always have discretion. They have facts are brought to them and they make a determination on whether or not to charge. It would be better for everyone if our Supreme Court would clarify that under Michigan law, these rights continue to be protected for Michigan women. The most important economic decision a woman makes in her lifetime is when and if to have children.
And so if this happens and it becomes a state decision, wouldn't you say that it should be up to the states to decide this? Wouldn't that be the most democratic way to handle it?
I think it's preferable that we have a national recognition of the right, as we have had for the last 49 years. At this juncture, it looks as though the federal government may not take action and do that. I can't speak for what's happening in Congress. What I can speak for is that the people of Michigan largely support, 70% support a women's right to choose. And that's why I'm using these unique tools as governor to lead the way and to protect this right for all people in Michigan.
All right, Governor, so this could become a ballot initiative if it gets 425,000 signatures to send it to the voters in November to decide on this. How do you think that'll all go?
You know what, Rup? My goal is to make sure that the law that has been rightfully, squarely for women to make their own bodily choices and have autonomy as full Americans with a decision-making and agency over their own bodies is crucial. And that's why I've initiated the lawsuit. That's why I also support the ballot petition drive, because I do think that we cannot assume one is going to be successful and the other might not. We have to pull out all the stops and use every tool to protect women, to protect our bodily autonomy, and to ensure that my kids and future generations have the ability to make their own healthcare decisions.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a lawsuit or a ballot initiative. We'll see which way this goes here in the state of Michigan. Thanks for your time today.